A new ship is going to be added to Elite Dangerous, and today I'm going to tell you what we know so far. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with Down to Earth Astronomy. In my recent 2.4 beta overview video, I asked what you guys would most likely want me to go into more depth with, and the majority said they want me to go into more depth about the TYPE-10 Defender, what we know, and what my thoughts are. Now, if you haven't seen that video or if you're not aware of it, in the beta patch, when you go into multi-crew and go into the info about multi-crew, you get a list of all the ships that are available for multi-crew, just as you do on the live server right now. But on this list, on the beta server, there was a ship called the TYPE-10 Defender, which of course is not on the live server. That spawned a lot of speculations about what the ship is, what it's going to do, when it's going to be implemented. And the only thing that we really know about this ship is the name, which is shown in the list. And then we have a single post from Frontier saying that they can neither confirm nor deny the existence of a TYPE-10 Defender. They certainly won't be giving any information about it, ... if it exists. And then, cough cough, it's not the Panda Clipper, because that was the first speculation. There was, oh, is this just a cover name for the Panda Clippers? They're going to add the Panda Clipper, which is a very anticipated ship from, I think it's Sorgon, they're making that, but anyway. So they just confirmed here that it's not the Panda Clipper, and if I read between the lines, that ... if it exists, makes me think that it's probably going to be in the game at some point. Whether it's going to be in this patch, or if it's going to be in the next patch, or in a future patch, we of course don't know, because I haven't seen any other updates on it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try to break it down, see what we can do. We have to do some guesses, of course, but let's see what kind of information we could extract from what we already have. Now, first let's look at the name. It's called the TYPE-10 Defender, so it would be natural to assume that it is in the same line of ships as the Type 6, the Type 7, and the Type 9, thereby being a Lakon ship. So I think pretty much everybody agrees that this is going to be a Lakon ship in the Type series. Now, so far we have the Type 6 Transporter and the Type 7 Transporter, the Type 9 Heavy, and now the TYPE-10 Defender. So what can we tell about the looks of the ship? How can we expect the ship to look? Now, we can go back and look at those three already existing type class ships. And they all have fairly flat surfaces with fairly well-defined straight angles. So just like flat sheets of metal welded together with this cupolar cockpit at the front that really stands out and is quite unique for this series, and especially for many of the Lakon ships actually. So we can probably expect the ship to be kind of similar. So being very, very boxy to look at, and then with this cupolar kind of cockpit bolted to the front. Now, of course, we know the ship's going to be available for multi-crew, which is going to give it a decent size, but of course also the TYPE-10 would expect it to be maybe even larger than the Type 9. Now, you cannot really expand on the Type 9 design, either make it taller, nor make it any wider than it already is. I think that's already at the maximum of what you can do. So most likely we're going to have it make it any longer, which would actually put it on par with many of the other, if you look at Type 6 and Type 7, even the Neilback, which is also a transport ship, but we'll get back to that in a bit. They're all very elongated ships, so maybe they're going back to that again, and that kind of design of ship. So I would probably expect this to be some kind of a mix between a Type 6 and a Type 7, just blown up to be quite a bit bigger. So that's my guesses in terms of what we can expect it to look like. And I know it's very vague, but I mean, we have absolutely nothing to go on, so this is just going to be random guesses. Now, so that's what we get from the first part, the TYPE-10 part. We're guessing Lakon, we're getting the shape and the general design of the ship. Now, Defender, that's the next interesting part, because that begs the question, what is the ship going to be defending? Is it going to be a defensive ship that's going to help defend others? Or is it going to be able to defend itself? I think the latter is the most likely. Taking into consideration that this is most likely going to be a transport ship, because it's the Type series, it would be fair to assume that it's a transport ship that has some kind of defensive capabilities. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because if we look at what we're going to expect to happen in the 2.4 patch, I mean, everybody's talking about it. Thargoids, the return, they are coming back. There's probably going to be war zones. There's probably going to be some areas that are going to be invaded by Thargoids. Those areas could potentially be very, very hostile to players to head into areas like that. So having a dedicated defensive transport ship wouldn't probably be a bad idea. Maybe to help people survive for a little bit longer if they're moving cargo into a community goal in a hostile zone, or if something like that. That's the kind of lines that I think the ship is going to go. That's going to be some kind of a defensive ship, so defensive defensive hauler somewhere. So that gives us a little bit extra to work with, because we already have the Neilbag and the Type 6. Now the Neilbag is just a combat-fitted version, it's supposed to be a combat-fitted version of the Type 6. So we can kind of take those two ships and use that to compare those, and then maybe use the Type 9 as a base, and then see where can we expect this to go. Now, first of all, of course, I expect it to be bigger than the Neilbag. And if we look at the Type 9 and the weapon loadout, it has 2 small and 2 medium hardpoints. Right. So I would expect this being a class up, and also thinking that this is maybe going to be a slightly more defensive ship. Maybe we're going to trade one of the medium hardpoints for a large. I'm a little bit in doubt whether I think it's going to get a huge hardpoint. That depends on how big the ship is going to be. But I would probably expect it to be maybe we're going to get a single large hardpoint, and that's it. So maybe trade a medium for a large. We have 2 small, 2 mediums, and a large. Maybe trade 2 mediums for a large. Maybe lose one of the smalls. I don't know. But I think we're going to see a little bit of changing around. I think we're going to get a large hardpoint on the ship, but I'm not sure about it. So, of course, it's going to have capability to carry fighters. Because the Type 9 can do it, I would expect this ship to be able to do it as well, being a defender. I mean, the fighters were really a great way for transport ships actually to defend themselves, especially the Type 9. So let's look at maneuverability. What are we expecting here? Now, the Neilbag is actually fairly maneuverable. And it feels at least fairly maneuverable when you fly it. And if we look at the masses of the ship, we have the Type 6 coming in with a base mass of 155 tons. Then we have the Type 7 stepping it up to 420 tons. So a nice increase there. And then we have a huge jump up to 1,000 tons for the Type 9 Heavy. But remember, the Type 9 Heavy relies heavily on its armor. It is a very well armored ship, which explains the high mass. So I would probably expect the ship's mass to be around the same as the Type 9, maybe a little less. I definitely expect the ship to be slightly more maneuverable. And when it comes to internal layout, I think the Type 9 has a Class 6 power plant. So we're most likely going to see that being bumped up to a Class 7. Class 8, I think, is unlikely, but I think a Class 7 power plant is maybe doable, especially if this ship is supposed to be defending itself. Because, again, we can go back and look at the Neilbag and the Type 6. I mean, the Neilbag actually has better base shield hit points than the Type 9. The shields on the Neilbag is not bad. And if we're gonna, if we're gonna expect this to go kind of the same way, I would expect the base shield hit points of this ship to be decent. So if you're expecting this ship to be carrying a shield generator, you will of course need that larger power plant, as we talked about. So that's why I think that the Class 7 power plant is going to be where we're around. And so, looking at price, can't remember the exact price of Type 9. I think like 79, 74, 70-ish, maybe in 80. That I think it's around there, the prices. So this ship being a step up, we're probably going to look at around 150, maybe 120 million. That area is what I'm thinking. Again, if we can compare the Type 6 to the Neilbag, that's really what I base most of this on. The Neilbag actually going to be a defensive ship. It actually lost some of its, or not really, it downgraded some of the, not like lost the top internal slot, just looking at my note here. So maybe we're not going to see the same amount of internal loadouts that we see on the Type 9. But then again, it is a step up to a larger type of ship. So that kind of, those two kind of pulls in opposite directions. So internal layouts are maybe going to be different. Maybe we're going to see it with 2 Type 8 slots, which would actually fit pretty well in its role, that it can carry that very large shield generator. You put that huge prismatic shield generator on it, but you still have the ability to carry a decent amount of cargo. And that would of course be the dream, having a hauler with 2 Class 8 slots. Or you could go with the smaller shield generator and be more risky and then get the extra cargo. But then again, yeah, then some of the other lower class slots might be moved around. I don't know. But again, this is all guesswork, what we're going to see with the internal loadout. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Type 10 would be not that much of a bump up in terms of hauling capacity from where it already is. I mean, I don't think we're gonna exceed the 1,000 tons. Maybe you should strip it down and only fit in cargo wrecks. Maybe you're gonna be able to get close to the 1,000 tons, but I don't think we're gonna get much over, because I think the ship is going to be a dedicated defensive ship, and maybe we're even gonna get what's the name of the military slots, internal military slots that are dedicated to kind of defensive modules, which would also be fit well within the title of the game. Sorry, title of the ship. But that's pretty much it. Again, as you can see, this is a lot. I'm kind of trying to compare different things, see where we are, how the ships compare, and this is my best guess. And I know it's very vague, but it's really the best that we can do at the moment, at least at the time of this recording. So let me know. Do you think I am way off with the assumption that this is going to be a ship that's going to be able to defend itself? Do you think? Let me know what you think. Post down below, and I mean, time will show. But yeah, let me know. Hope you liked the video, and if you did, consider giving a like. Maybe maybe subscribe, become a Patreon if you want. That would mean a lot to me. And come over and say hi to me on Discord, and I'll be happy to have a chat about what you think. And if you think I was completely wrong, let me know. So thanks a lot for watching, and also next time I will see you guys in space.